Okay, this video is about substitution and in particular evaluating an algebraic expression. Okay, what is an algebraic expression? Well, let's remember any algebraic expression is just something that has letters and or numbers as well. So for example, A could be considered an expression, just a very simple expression. Or you could have x plus y. That's an expression. You could have 3x minus 4. That's an expression. Remember, the difference between an expression and an equation is that an expression doesn't have an equal sign with it, so it doesn't equal something and you can't solve it. All you can do is evaluate this, provided you know the value of x. Okay, and you can evaluate this if you know what x and y is, and you can evaluate this if you know what the value of a is. Okay, so just to show you the difference between an expression and equation, if I took 3x minus 4 and put equals 5, it's now an equation. I can solve that and find the value of x by doing our balance method, as we've done in previous videos with solving equations. So this is an equation. And there's the clue there with an equal sign, and these are all expressions. Okay, so what does evaluate an expression mean? Let's go straight into an example. Okay, evaluate, that's our key word in terms of what we need to do. If I said evaluate 7x, then we need to know what the value of x is. Evaluate 7x given that x equals 3. So what we need to do is substitute our value of x for the value we are given in the question, which is 3. Now you've got to remember the rules of algebra. You've got to remember what 7x means. If you forget what 7x means, then you've got no chance of evaluating this unless you have a guess, and you might be lucky. But remember, 7x means 7 times x. Okay, but we're not going to write a times sign because we use x a lot in algebra. So when we substitute our value of x here, instead of writing 7 times x and then replacing x with our value of 3, what I prefer, and is far neater, is to replace the letter with a pair of brackets, right? So we're not going to do that. We're going to take 7x, then we're going to, instead of x, write a pair of brackets and pop our value into the brackets. So what I've done there, I've substituted x for its value of 3. Now, you know from our expanding brackets video that anything outside a bracket multiplies by what's inside the bracket. There's a little invisible time sign by there. Okay, but I'm not going to write time signs because they could be mistaken for x's, and this is far neater anyway. So 7 times 3 is obviously 21, and that is 7x evaluated. We have a value. We finish up with a value, a number. Okay, 21. Done. So that's a very basic example. Let's look at another one. Evaluate 3y plus 4 if, I'm going to say it slightly different, if y equals 5. Okay, evaluate 3y plus 4 if y equals 5. So instead of 3y, I'm going to write 3 bracket, put the value of y inside the bracket. So I've substituted y for 5, just like we substitute a football player on a football pitch or a netball player on a netball pitch. Y has gone off the pitch, 5 has come on, and that's why it's called substitution, because they swap places. Okay, we swap y for the value of 5. And then we have that. Then we need to do 3 times 5 first because of BIDMAS, which is 15, and add the 4 last. And of course, that's 19. Okay, and that's another quite simple evaluation of an algebraic expression. Okay, just going to move this up so we can do a couple more examples. Let's have a look at example 3. I'm not going to write evaluate every time now, we know what we're doing, right? Or every question is evaluate. What if I had a couple of letters? What if I had 4a minus 5b if a equals 2 and b equals 3? Okay. What is the value of this? That's what evaluate means. Of 4a minus 5b if a equals 2 and b equals 3. So, like I've shown you above, instead of a, pair of brackets, we put the value of a inside. So instead of 4a, we now have 4 times 2. Take away 5 instead of b, pair of brackets, and we put the value of 3. Okay, now we get to work this out. 4 times 2, remember that's what that means, because that was 4 times a, is 8. Take away 5 times 3. Now it is take away, it's still minus. Just remind ourselves of the rules. A minus times a plus is a minus. When there's no sign, we know that means positive. So negative times a positive is negative. And then 5 times 3, 15. And then we have 8 minus 15. Think your number line, you're on 8. You've taken away a larger number, so we know it's going to be negative something. So if you're on 8 and you take away 15, you're going to end up on minus 7. Because you go down from 8 down to 0, and then another 7 taking you down to minus 7. Okay. Couple of more examples. Okay. Just do lots of examples here. Try and cover as many bases as possible. Okay, example 4. So evaluate again. Let's have a look. What if we had 3p plus 7q minus 4r? If p was 2, q was equal to 3, and r was equal to 1. So nice numbers for you to substitute in. So let's have a look at this. We just got 3 terms in our expression this time. 1, 2, 3 terms. And we know the value of each of those letters, and then we're going to substitute them. So 3 brackets instead of p, 2 inside the brackets, plus 7 brackets instead of q, 3, minus 4 instead of brackets, 1. Okay, now we work out each one of these first. We do the multiplying first because of bid mass. 3 times 2, 6, plus 7 times 3 is 21. Now we've got a minus times a plus again, which is minus. 4 times 1 is 4. And then we just work that out. 6 plus 21 is 27. Take away 4 is 23. And here's our final value. So notice every single time we end up with a value, and that's why you're asked to evaluate. Okay, what about some expressions that have some powers? Now we've done indices. Okay, so let's have a look. Example 5. Evaluate 7x squared if x equals 2. Okay, so instead of x we put a pair of brackets and the squared. So instead of x I put the value of x inside the brackets. Now BIDMAS tells us to do indices first, so we need to do 2 squared first before we multiply by 7, because multiply comes after indices, so m comes after I in the word BIDMAS. So we need to do 2 squared first. Now I'm going to keep the bracket. 2 squared is 4. To remind myself, I now need to multiply by 7, and 7 4s are 28. Okay, nice and tidy. Let's look at example 6. I'm going to do one over here next time. Save moving the page. What about evaluate 8y cubed, take away 2x squared if x was equal to 4 and y was equal to 2. What do we do? Instead of the letter, put a pair of brackets. If we got a power, that goes outside there as well. So instead of 8y cubed, we now have 8 times 2 cubed, because y was 2. and the same with the 2x squared. Put the 2, put a bracket instead of the x, and the squared outside. Instead of the x, replace it with 4. We substitute our x for its value of 4. Now we work it out. Indices first. Do the 2 cubed first. 2 cubed, 2 times 2 times 2. 2 times 2 is 4, times 2 is 8. Right? Don't make the mistake of thinking 2 cubed is 6. That's the most common mistake with this question. It doesn't mean 2 times 3. It means 2 times 2 times 2. This one, minus 2. We've got to do the 4 squared first. 16. 8 eighths, 64. Helps know your tables, doesn't it, if you just speed things up. Minus times a plus again. Minus 2 times 16, 32. And 64, take away 32, is a nice 32. So there's an example with some indices too. One more example, I think. Maybe 2. Let's have a look. Example 7. Evaluate 4x squared divided by 2y. If x equals 3 and y equals 4. Now this might be a whole number, it might be a fraction, who knows? Let's evaluate it. Instead of the x, we replace it with a pair of brackets and its value of 3. Instead of the y, replace with a pair of brackets and its value of 4. So the first step every time is replace each letter with a pair of brackets and put the value of the letter inside the brackets. Okay, I'm going to go across here. I know we always go down, but I can go across here this once, okay? And then I'm going to carry on going down. 4 times 3 squared. Well, I need to do the 3 squared first. So that's 9. All over 2 times 4, I can do that, that's 8. And that is 36 over 8. And you could leave it like that, or really we should be able to do this. How many 8s in 36? 4 8s are 32, with 4 left over, 4 8s left over, which is of course 4.5 when you simplify. Okay, and that is that video for now. Don't want to go on too long, and just recap, we got 7 examples there, so you can fast forward to different types if you like, and go back and forth looking at the expressions that I've shown you. So you've got some simple ones to start off with just one term, then a couple of terms with just an add, then 2 terms with 2 different letters, 3 terms, 3 letters, and then I did some examples with some indices. Okay, but the method is the same for all of them. Replace every letter within the expression with a pair of brackets, and inside the brackets put the value of each of the letters, and then take your time working it out following BIDMAS. Okay, thank you very much.